Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Budaya Vishudaya Yukto Dirtyatmanam Niyamyacha Shabdadin Vishayam Styaktva Raga Devesho Vyudasya Cha Vivikta Sevilagvashi Yaktavakaya Manasaha Dhyana Yoga Paro Nityam Vairagyam Samupashritaha Ahankaram Balam Darpam Kamam Krodam Parigraham Vimuchya Nirmana sorry Vimuchya Nirmaha Shanto Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate.
Hare Krishna. Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little, who controls his body, mind, and power of speech, who is always in trance and who is detached, free from false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and acceptance of material things, free from false proprietorship and peaceful, such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization.
Brahmabhuta prasanatma nasho chati nakangshiti sama sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param.
One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahma and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me.
Bhakti amam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvataha tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tad anantaram.
One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God.
Sarvakarmani api saddha kurvano madhya vyapashrayaha matprasadad avapnoti shashvatam padam avyayam.
Though engaged in all kinds of activities, by pure devotee under my protection, reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace.
Chetasa sarvakarmani mai sanyasya matparaha buddhiyogam upashritya machita satatam bhava.
In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, he fully conscious of me.
Machita sarva durgani matprasada tarishyasi atachetvam ahankaran nashosyasi vinakshasi.
If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not walk in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost.
Yad ahankaram ashritya nayotsya iti manyase misyesha vyavasyaste prakristvam niyokshati.
If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare.
Swabheva jena konteya nivada svena karmana tartum nechasinyan mohat karishyasi avashopitat.
Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction. But compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same. O son of Kunti,
Ishvar Sarvabhutanam Hridedeshurjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantrarudani Mayaya.
the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of a material energy.
Tameva Sharanam Gacha Sarvabhavena Bharata Tat Prasadat Param Santim Stanam Prapsyasi Shashvatam.
O son of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and the eternal abode.
Iti Jagyanama Akyatam Guyad Guyataram Maya Vimrishyetad Asheshena Yate Chasi Tatakuru.
Thus, I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do.
Sarva Guyatmamam Bhuya Shunu Me Paramam Vacha Ishtoshi Me Dridam Iti Tato Vakshyami Te Hitam.
Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit.
Manmanabhava Madbhakto Madhyajimam Namaskuru Mame Vaishyasi Satyam Te Pratijane Preyosi Me.
Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend.
Sarvadharmam Parityaja Mamikam Sharanam Vraja Ahankaram Papas Ahankar sorry, I'm just gonna start again. Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamikam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayi Shami Mashachaha.
Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear.
Idam te na tapasikaya na bhaktaya kadachana nacha shushruvashe vachyam nacha mam yo vyasuyati.
This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me.
Ya idam paramam guyam madbhakte deshva abhidyasyati bhaktimayi param kritva mame vishyati asamshayaha.
For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me.
Na cha tasman manusyeshu kaschin me priyakritatmaha bhavita na cha me tasmad anya priyataro bhuvi.
There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear.
Adyashyate chaya imam dharmayam sorry, dharmayam samvadam avayo gyanaya gena tenaham ishtashyamiti me matihi.
Now I declare that who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence.
Shadavan anusuyascha shrinyurapi yonaraha sopi mukta shubalokan prapnuyat punyakarmanam.
And who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reaction and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell.
Kachid etat shrutam parta dvaye kagrena chetasa kachid agyana samohaha pranashtash tedananjaya.
O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are you ignorance and illusion now dispelled?
Arjuna vacha nashto moha smritir labda tvat prasadan maya chita stitosmi gata sandeha karishya vachanam tava.
Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions.
Sanjaya vacha iti aham vasudevasya partasya cha mahatmanaha samvadamimam ashusham adbhutam romaharshanam.
Sanjay said, thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end.
Vyasa prasadat shrutvan etad guyamaham param yogam yogeshwara krishnat sakshat katayata swayam.
By the mercy of Vaishya, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna.
Rajan samsmritya samvadam emamadbhutam keshavarjuyan keshavarjunayo punyam rishyami cha muhurmuhu.
O king, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment.
Tacha samsmritya rupamati adbhutam harehe Vishmayo me mahan rajan rishyami cha puna puna.
O king, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again.
Yatra yogeshvara krishna yatra parto dhanurdharaha tatra shirvijayi yo bhutir dhruva nittir mama.
Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Yash and Mitali Mataji. Thank you. That was beautiful. Yash, your Sanskrit recitation is amazing. We all need to learn from you. All right. Okay, let me see if I can. Okay. Sure, but can you all see now the screen?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Okay, so we're doing chapter 18 and we will continue. I'm sorry I have been away for a long time, so I'm just going to try and catch up and see. So please forgive me for my mistakes today because it's been a while. So I'm not even sure of what I'm doing right now. So forgive me if I'm making mistakes. Today we're going to be doing verse number 55. So I'll recite the verse. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschashmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato gyatva vishate tad anantaram. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. I'm going to read the purport myself today because it's quite a long purport. And we don't have many participants today, I think. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and his plenary portions cannot be understood by mental speculation nor by the non-devotees. If anyone wants to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has to take to pure devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee. Otherwise, the truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will always be hidden. As already stated in Bhagavad Gita 7:25, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya, he is not revealed to everyone. No one can understand God simply by erudite scholarship or mental speculation. Only one who is actually engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service can understand what Krishna is. University degrees are not helpful. One who is fully conversant with the Krishna science becomes eligible to enter into the spiritual kingdom, the abode of Krishna. Becoming Brahman does not mean that one loses his identity. Devotional service is there, and as long as devotional service exists, there must be God, the devotee, and the process of devotional service. Such knowledge is never vanquished even after liberation. Liberation involves getting free from the concept of material life. In spiritual life, the same distinction is there, the same individuality is there, but in pure Krishna consciousness. One should not mistakenly think that the word visate enters into me supports the monist theory that one becomes homogeneous with the impersonal Brahman. No. Visate means that one can enter into the abode of the Supreme Lord in one's individuality to engage in his association and render service unto him. For instance, a green bird enters a green tree not to become one with the tree, but to enjoy the fruits of the tree. Impersonalists generally give the example of a river flowing into the ocean and merging. This may be a source of happiness for the impersonalist, but the personalist keeps his personal individuality like an aquatic in the ocean. We find so many living entities within the ocean if we go deep. Surface acquaintance with the ocean is not sufficient. One must have complete knowledge of the aquatics living in the ocean depths. Because of his pure devotional service, a devotee can understand the transcendental qualities and the opulences of the Supreme Lord in truth. As it is stated in the 11th chapter, only by devotional service can one understand. The same is confirmed here. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotional service and enter into his kingdom. After attainment of the Brahmabhuta stage of freedom from material conceptions, devotional service begins by one's hearing about the Lord. When one hears about the Supreme Lord, automatically the Brahmabhuta stage develops, and material contamination, greediness, and lust for sense enjoyment disappears. As lust and desires disappear from the heart of a devotee, he becomes more attached to the service of the Lord, and by such attachment, he becomes free from material contamination. In that stage of life, he can understand the Supreme Lord. This is the statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam also. After liberation, the process of bhakti or transcendental service continues. The Vedanta Sutra 4.1.12 confirms this. Prayanat tatrapi hi drishtam. This means that after liberation, the process of devotional service continues. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, real devotional liberation is defined as the reinstatement of the living entity in his own identity, his own constitutional position. The constitutional position is already explained. Every living entity is part and parcel, fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, his constitutional position is to serve. After liberation, this service is never stopped. Actual liberation is getting free from misconceptions of life. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That is a very, very beautiful purport. Before we start, we'll just say our Mangalacharan prayers. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatirubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita
Gadadhara
Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Hare
Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama
Rama Hare Hare.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai. All right. I'm just checking if there was. Okay. First of all, I'm sorry I've been out of action for quite a long time. I was in India for the past 2 months, and I tried to continue a couple of sessions from India, but then I was traveling, and so I could not continue. So I had to take a break. So I've just actually landed this morning, and so I'm here today.
It's so nice to see you, Mataji, back. I was missing you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. I was missing all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I will talk about my trip in the last part so that if there are people who wish to leave, they can leave. I don't want to keep people waiting. So today we'll just start with this verse. Now, I'm sure you have all been relishing the 18th chapter. I have missed so many sessions. But this is such an important chapter. It is obviously giving the summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. And this particular verse is very, very important, where Krishna is directly, talking to Arjuna and emphasizing on devotional service. Now, this is not the first time that Krishna is doing this, actually. If you notice in all of the chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, eventually the conclusion comes to that you can only understand me by devotional service, by bhakti. Sorry, I'm going to mute everybody, maybe. Participants. Yeah. So, sorry, I've just lost track a bit. Yeah. So in every chapter, the conclusion is that bhakti is the ultimate. And if you want to understand me, then you have to come to the stage of devotional service. And here also Krishna is very, very clearly saying that one can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead only by devotional service. So there's one thing I wanted to share, which is, in the 11th chapter, also Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Now, why I'm talking about this particular thing is, if you remember that in the 11th chapter, Arjuna had requested Krishna that he wanted to see his universal form. And so after showing his universal form, Krishna is coming back to his four-armed Vishnu form and then to the two-armed form. All of these forms are not visible to all of us. Everybody cannot see this. And Krishna is saying that, right? That only if you have taken to devotional service, then you can see these forms of mine. Once I was asked to give a lecture on Sunday afternoon at the Manor about seeing God in our lives. And I thought it was a very, very interesting topic. And while I was thinking, what will I speak about this? I suddenly realized that, we talk about that God is everywhere, Krishna is everywhere. All the time we say these things, that Krishna or God is everywhere. But we don't have the eyes to see it. And in the Bhagavad Gita, we read how even when Krishna is present in front of us, we cannot see him because we have these material eyes. Now, I'm just going to talk about some stories from the scriptures, and we'll come to a conclusion why we are talking about these things. I'm sure all of you know Duryodhan from the Mahabharata, who was Arjuna's cousin, and the whole Kurukshetra battle happened because of that. And in fact, the Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Krishna because the battle was happening and Arjuna did not want to fight with his cousins. But before the Kurukshetra battle, there were many instances when Krishna tried to avoid it coming to this, to avoid that there will be a fight. And one of the instances is when Krishna actually goes to the court of the Kauravas to try and speak with them and see if they can come to, to negotiate and see if they can come to some kind of understanding where the fight can be stopped. And I don't know if many of you, if you had seen Mahabharata on television when it used to come a few years back, it may not have been the most authentic source of our Shastras, but it kind of gave a very good understanding. And if you remember, even when Krishna goes to the court of the Kauravas and he's speaking to Duryodhan, and Duryodhan is so full of ego and pride and anger and envy that he asked his soldiers to capture Krishna and put him in the prison. Now, when the soldiers try and go to capture Krishna, at that time Krishna shows his partial universal form. It is not the same that he shows to Arjuna, but he shows his partial universal form wherein he becomes huge. Now imagine this, that even after seeing this in front of his eyes, Duryodhan was not ready to accept that here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even at that time, he just thought he is another mystic yogi who's trying to show some tricks, So and there's many other examples in our Shastras, like even Shishupal. Shishupal was not willing to accept that Krishna is God or Krishna is any different to all of us human beings. That's how Shishupal thought. And at the same time, there are other stories, like we have discussed on this forum about Sakshi Gopal. Now, Sakshi Gopal was a deity, right? But the Brahmana, I'm sure everybody knows this story, so I will not go into the detail of the story. But the Brahmana had so much faith that he knew that this deity can walk and talk and can be witness to what has happened with me. Yeah. And there's another incident when, Raghunandan wants to feed the laddu to Gopinath, and how Gopinath then comes and reciprocate. why we are talking about these stories is it fits in very well with this verse where Krishna is saying that only by devotional service and only my devotees can see me. See, here we have people like Duryodhan and Shishupal, and you know, they've got material qualifications. They've got all the possible material qualifications, but they still cannot see the Lord. And Prabhupada, while he describes in the purport, he talks about how education or any other material qualifications cannot guarantee you that you will be able to see Krishna. Now, we are not saying that people who are educated cannot become Krishna conscious. That's not the point. The point is that one should not think that because I have money, because I have education, because I have all these things, I am eligible to see Krishna. Eligibility only comes when you have faith, when you have love. A lot of times, you know, this question may come to our mind. When we come to Krishna consciousness, we want to know what is our goal, what is the purpose of Krishna consciousness, what is it that we want. Anybody wants to talk about what your personal feelings are when you've come to Krishna consciousness? What do you want out of this? Anybody wants to say anything? Any comments? All of you are in Krishna consciousness. So what is it that you want out of this? So we have a very quiet audience today. So the most important thing in Krishna consciousness is we want to understand three things. And you know, it's funny, it's so difficult to even understand one thing, but we want to understand three things here. Very, very important. What are the three things that we should understand? First of all is to understand Krishna. Second is to understand ourselves. And third is to understand what is our relationship with Krishna, right? And Prabhupada in the purport says that one cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation or by reading various scriptures. Even if you are a Vedantist, even if you know all the Vedas, you still cannot understand Krishna. You can only understand Krishna by performing devotional service, by performing pure devotional service. Now, again, the question here I have for the audience, and I would really request you to participate. What do you think is pure devotional service? What is pure devotional service? Any thoughts?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes,
It-
Rupa Mataji.
My humble obeisances to you.
My obeisances.
I think pure devotional service means everything to please Krishna, please Krishna's senses.
Yes, yes, exactly. So it means that whatever you're doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. And you have no motive, no material motive here. You don't want anything in return. Whatever you're doing is just to please Krishna. Like Rupa Goswami says, Anya Bilashita Shunyam. So you have no other interest, no other motivation. Your only motivation is to please Krishna. And that is pure devotional service. And Prabhupada is very clearly saying over here that that kind of service or devotional service is performed under the guidance of a devotee. Time and again, in many parts of the Bhagavad Gita, in the purports, Prabhupada is always talking about how we need to be in the association of devotees. We need to take the guidance of senior devotees. We need to take guidance of a pure devotee of the Lord. So many times in the purports, Prabhupada is talking about this. And again, here he says that, it says over here, he has to take to pure devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee, right? So that's one thing. There's other many important points in the purports which are being made. And one of that is that sometimes, you know, if we see in our own lives, people surrounding us, there are many different paths that people are on, you know, like some people have like mental speculation, they want to read books, they want to discuss things. Now, Prabhupada does not say that, they are wrong or anything. What he is trying to say is that will give you a partial understanding. But in this verse, Krishna is using the word tattvataha, tattvata twice. What does tattva mean? Tattvata mean, it means in truth, absolute. If you want to understand the supreme in truth, absolutely, then there is only one path, and that is devotional service. There is no other path, right? So, I'm sorry, I can hear some music. Yeah, so Krishna is saying very clearly that there is only, if you want to understand, now the thing is that time and again in the Bhagavad Gita, also in the purports, Prabhupada is explaining that there will be a partial understanding. You will know something. It is not like when you are on a spiritual path, you will not understand anything. And we have again spoken about the analogy of, if I remember correctly, we discussed the analogy of the mountain once. That from far, when you're traveling by car, you might see this big, huge mountain. You cannot see anything more than that, but you go a little closer and then you see that there are so many different kinds of trees on the mountain. And probably if you actually go even further closer, you're almost on the mountain and you see that there's houses and there's people living, all of those things. Now, none of these understandings were wrong. When you saw that this mountain is a big structure, it looks like this, that understanding is not incorrect. But the absolute understanding is when you've seen that the mountain is this structure, but it has these trees in it, different kinds of trees, and it has houses and people living. So you've got this whole complete understanding of this one mountain. So same way on the spiritual path, if you want to understand Krishna absolutely, then there are different paths where people are, and we've spoken about it in the Gita, where there is jnana, there is karma yoga, there are different paths. But bhakti yoga is the supreme, which gives you an absolute understanding of Krishna. And Prabhupada is quoting the verse 725, where he says that I'm never manifest to the foolish and the unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency. Now, see, the other factor is that Krishna covers himself. Now, why does Krishna cover himself? Because when we decided to come to this material world, we wanted to enjoy. We don't want to remember Krishna. We want to forget Krishna. Because if we remember Krishna, we won't be able to enjoy. Because then we'll know that he is the supreme, he is the proprietor. We don't want to remember that. And that is why he covers himself by the Yogamaya potency. He covers himself so that, then we are able to fulfill our desire, that we are able to enjoy ourselves, right? Again, there's other things that, yes, the other point that Prabhupada is making is about this word visate. Now, in the translation, Prabhupada says, visate, yeah. So visate, it says he enters in the translation. And in the word to word. And in the translation, Prabhupada says he can enter into the kingdom of God. In the purport, again, he's saying that one should not mistakenly think when he says enters into me, that means we are entering into Krishna's body and we no longer are individuals. Even in the second chapter, when Krishna is speaking with Arjuna, he says, never was there a time when you did not exist, or all these kings did not exist, and I did not exist. And in the future also, we will continue to exist. Very clearly, Krishna is talking about individuality. You do not lose your individual self. So the point what Prabhupada is making is, when he says you come to me, that is, you come to my abode and you enjoy yourself by serving me. So the enjoyment factor, the happiness factor is still there. Because like we said, it is the soul's nature. Because the soul is eternal, full of knowledge and full of happiness, it is the soul's nature to be happy. So you're not going to be losing that individuality of the soul and the characteristics of the soul. But when you enter the spiritual world, when you enter Krishna's abode, you will gain that happiness by serving Krishna, and that will be permanent happiness. As we've discussed so many times, that this material world is temporary, but there is a higher spiritual world. Now, people in this world, they don't know, they don't understand what is the spiritual world, how does it look, what kind of people live there. But we are very fortunate that from the Bhagavatam we get descriptions of how the spiritual world is. We've got descriptions of the people who live there, we've got descriptions of Krishna, how he looks, what he wears, what kind of clothes he has, the jewelry that he has. We've got all those descriptions, so we are not talking about something that is vague. We know exactly how the spiritual world looks, right? So Prabhupada is very, very clearly trying to differentiate that Vishate, because impersonalists believe in that kind of liberation, in that kind that I am one, you are one, we all are one, and we'll all merge. That does not happen. It never happens. The personalist, we don't believe in that. Prabhupada was very strong about this. And he also gives very nice analogies that, if you see a green parrot that's entering this tree, now, it may happen that when you're looking at the tree and the parrot and all, it's all merging into one because it is one color. But we know that the parrot is individual. It's there. It's on these trees. It is enjoying the fruits of the trees, but it has not become the tree, right? So Prabhupada is giving very nice analogies to explain to us that when Krishna is saying that he enters into me, as in when you perform pure devotional service, you reach a stage where you transcend all these material qualities of greed, lust, sense gratification, and your only thought, your only goal is, how should I please the Lord of my life? How should I please Krishna? That's what your only goal is. So that is what Prabhupada is explaining. And he goes on to say that once you perform devotional service, then a devotee can understand. What can he understand? The qualities of the Supreme Lord. In the 11th chapter, various qualities of the Lord have been described. And it is only a devotee can understand that, because otherwise when you talk to other people, they think, how can one person have these qualities? It's very difficult for an atheistic or people who are materialist to think that one person can have all these qualities. It is beyond their understanding. But Krishna says here, and Prabhupada explains in the purport, that once you become a devotee, what does it mean to become a devotee? A devotee is somebody who has faith in the words of, not just in the words of the Lord, but faith in the words of our acharyas, of our scriptures. Very important thing to discuss and to understand is, what is faith? Now, I don't know if I have given this example before, but I'm going to talk about a very, very materialist, but very simple example about faith. When a young child is just crawling and is about to start walking, and the parent is helping the child, we hold the hand and we are asking, encouraging the child to walk. And eventually the child starts walking. Now, think about this transition from when the child was crawling, holding onto the wall, and then suddenly he's walking independently. The change that has happened is, of course, the physical changes, that he's able to walk now, he's able to support his body. But otherwise, when he has one leg on the floor and he's lifting the other leg to put it again, and to take a step, the faith that the leg that is on the ground is going to support my body weight. That's the faith. It's a very material example, but imagine if we did not have that faith, then I would never lift my second leg to take a step, because I wouldn't have the faith that I will be able to support my body weight on one leg. So that's how in the spiritual life also you develop that faith. The child is holding the parent's hand because initially he does not have the faith that he can support himself. But eventually, with the guidance, under the supervision, he develops that faith. And same way, all of us, when we are new to Krishna consciousness, we need this kind of guidance. We need to surround ourselves with those devotees, with those, with that kind of association where somebody who has deep faith, that faith will rub off on us also. And then we will come to this stage where we will realize that devotional service to the Lord is the only thing which can give us permanent happiness. Nothing else in this world is ever going to give us that kind of happiness, that kind of feeling, and that kind of liberation. So Prabhupada talks about liberation. But what is the liberation that he's talking about? Liberation through performing devotional service. Because once you come to that stage, you are liberated from this material world. So you may be within, but you are actually over and above anything that's happening around you. Because you've reached that stage. I think yesterday's verse, we discussed Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. So you've reached the stage of Brahma Bhuta. You've reached the stage where you know that what is happening around you is temporary and that it should not affect you. It may affect you physically or on the outside, but within your soul is not affected by anything that is happening. And that is the kind of liberation that Prabhupada is talking about. He says here, he says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, real devotional liberation is defined as the reinstatement of the living entity in his own identity, his own constitutional position. And the constitutional position is explained. Prabhupada again explains it. We are part and parcel of Krishna, right? And our position is to serve Krishna. That's it. That's all. There was a time when one of the early disciples of Prabhupada once asked Prabhupada that I want to get initiated. And Prabhupada asked him only 2 questions. And he said, who is Krishna? And what is your relation with Krishna? And the answer was that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I am the servant of Krishna. And Prabhupada then said, you are ready to get initiated. So it's said that Srila Prabhupada used to say that Krishna consciousness is very, very simple. It is so simple that sometimes we may actually miss it. We may miss it. It happens sometimes that, you're seeing something, it's staring you in your face, but because it is so obvious, you sometimes just tend to ignore it or, look beyond it, searching for something which is very complicated. But Krishna consciousness is very, very simple and straightforward. All that we need to understand is I am part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I just need to serve Krishna. I just need to perform devotional service to Krishna, and that's it. And then my life is successful. So that's what is being spoken of in this particular verse. And now, before I move on, maybe we could just, what I'm going to be doing in the next couple of minutes is I want to share a couple of notices, like Divyanam Prabhu has asked me to share something, and then I'm going to share something about my experience. I was in India for 2 months, so I want to share about that. But before we go to that, if there are any questions or comments on this particular verse, anything anybody would like to add, then please unmute yourself and you can speak. Anybody? If not, then I will move on and I will just make some announcements. Is that all right? Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, yes, Mataji.
Yes, so I'm just going to, 1 second, I'm just going to, sorry. Okay, this is the, yeah. Can you all see the screen?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, so this is the announcement about the monthly Sankirtan festival, which we are going to have tomorrow. Launch of the Bhadra campaign, and Divyanam Prabhu has said it will be amazing if all of us can attend, because we have, I think this Mataji, she is from Delhi and she has distributed, let's see how many books. I don't know if you all can see the screen clearly. Maybe try to, yeah. So tomorrow, sorry, 1 second. I just want to get Mataji's name here, which I'm sure, yeah. Yeah, Radhika Kripa Devi Dasi. Divyanam Prabhu said she is a disciple of Gopal Krishna Maharaj in Delhi, and she is a wonderful, wonderful book distributor. So tomorrow we are going to launch our 2021 Bhadra campaign with her wonderful talk. So I'm encouraging everybody that please let's all attend this talk if we can. And so that we also then get inspired by how she distributes so many books and how she reads the Bhagavatam and then distributes the books. So that was one announcement. And the other thing was, so I was in India for 2 months and I had the main goal for me was that I wanted to go and spend time with my parents because it had been such a long time. And, you know, I'm sure everybody understands parents are getting old and you do worry about them. But besides that, there was another thing. So my father in 2011, he built this Balaji temple. This temple is in a very, very remote village of Bihar. I'm not sure if everybody knows where Bihar is. Bihar is in central India, and Bihar is, some of the villages in Bihar are quite, let's say, underdeveloped, although they have lots of things, but it's quite a remote village in Bihar. And so in 2011, he built this temple. The thing was, he's a devotee of Balaji, and he used to go to Tirupati Balaji. But in his mind, he thought that, you know, I'm able to go, but my village people cannot. So, you know, I should do something so that even they can get darshan of Balaji. And that is how he thought that he wants to build this temple. And he's done that. And so every year we have a yearly function celebrating the installation of the deities. And so this year it was on 20th March. And there's, you know, many things. It's a Vishnu temple. So obviously for us, it was all right to take part because it is, it's not demigod worshipping. It is a Vishnu temple. Balaji is Vishnu. So as you can see, I'm not sure if you can see, and I'm going to try and share a video if I can. Not sure if I can do that, but I'm going to try. Sorry. Stop share now. To go back. I'm going to try and share this video if I can. Can you all see this now? So we had devotees from Mayapur and Vrindavan who had come. And so on the first day, there was like, you know, there was a whole procession of, there were thousands of people. And we were going through these remote villages and we were doing Harinam Sankirtan throughout. So it was almost like a 4.5 hours where we were walking. So it was amazing that we were able to share the holy name with all these local people. And there's another video where we used to have Harinam at the temple, and you will see these people, everybody was, you know, taking part in Yeah, so I just wanted to share my experiences with you. These people are so innocent, and they were so happy to take part in all of these, you know, whatever we were doing, sharing the holy name, chanting every evening. It was a wonderful experience to get everybody to start, you know, chanting. And with all of your blessings, I'm hoping that we're able to distribute the holy name in terms of, I'm not sure if books is the right thing for them to do because not all of them are educated or read. But we were thinking that maybe, we could distribute if there's these radios with all of Prabhupada lectures on them. So we were thinking if we could give that, at least, the transcendental sound vibration is going on in all of these small houses and villages and everybody is listening. So that is the plan. But yeah, I just wanted to share with you, it was a wonderful experience for me. It was really eye-opening. I have been to the temple before, but it's the first time that I went for this kind of function. And there were, over a period of 7 days, there were thousands of people from adjoining villages and smaller towns that came. And it was a very good opportunity for us to spread Srila Prabhupada's message. And I'm hoping that we can continue this. So this is what I wanted to share with you all. Thank you very much. I will stop here. If you have any comments, questions on the verse or anything, please feel free. And please forgive me, I'm doing this after quite a while, so I must have been a bit confused with some things. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, you're so blessed to have that connection. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. It was a wonderful class, and this was very good. The temple thing. Where in Bihar is it? Because I am from Jharkhand, so I
Oh,
know.
are you? So this is a place in Chhapra?
Oh, okay, Chhapra. Okay, yeah. That's very nice. It's so good. It is so green and so blissful in the remote villages. Actually,
It is lovely. I enjoyed my time there, and fingers crossed, with Krishna's mercy and all of your blessings, I will go back again in August.
Yeah, absolutely. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Mataji, I have just sent a comment. Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Mataji. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Nitai Mataji. That's my father. He is, and you will not believe how attached he is to Balaji. Like 24/7, he only thinks about that. That's it.
Oh, I was just thinking, there are, I thought Balaji means mostly the South Indians get attached.
No, but it's true. It's true. And that is why in the beginning, when he built the temple and got the deities, the villagers could not really understand because they didn't know who Balaji is.
Yeah, that's right.
And, and today you should see, they constantly, Jai Balaji, they keep doing, like they've, and for us, because it is a Vishnu temple. So, we had devotees from Mayapur, brahmacharis from Mayapur and Vrindavan who came and who stayed with us for 3 or 4 days, and they would do kirtan, Guru Puja in the morning. So it was a wonderful experience. Wonderful.
Oh, that's so wonderful, Vantaji. It's a blessing experience, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, very inspirational. Thanks.
Thank you.
And Mataji, I would be writing to you something. Okay. I'm going to send you a message as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also managed to go to Vrindavan, and fortunately, I was in Vrindavan on the day of Gaur Purnima, and it was just amazing. The atmosphere in Vrindavan is electric. When they start doing the kirtan, it is just amazing. So it was a wonderful experience. I mean, if any of you have not been to Vrindavan, then you must think of going to Vrindavan. Obviously, once this COVID situation, right now, the situation in India is very, very bad.
Yeah.
Very bad. So I'm glad it's thanks to Hema Mataji's prayer. She was praying for me, chanting the Narsinga Kavach for me. So I'm here.
Yeah, you escaped.
It was scary. It was scary. Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Mataji, you're so fortunate to be in Gaur Purnima in Vrindavan. That's really, really fortunate. Wow.
It was beautiful, lovely experience. When the Abhishek was going on and the people dancing and singing. I mean, the Kirtan, of course, is world famous of Vrindavan, but it is just amazing. Very amazing.
Wonderful.
I've got a comment, Shobna Mataji. You want me to explain about Balaji? What a nice question, because I also want to more deeply understand about Balaji. And I promise you that one session we will talk about Balaji. Promise.
Thank you, Mataji, because I've been Tirupati, and it's just a beautiful experience. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Any other comments? If not, then we can stop. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for giving me the chance. Vanchakalpatrubhascha kripa sindhubhaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you and
Thank you, Mataji, for the wonderful class. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jyoti Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for wonderful.